Hello everyone and welcome to this channel in which I will drive you through a long series of videos in the world of transportation design and in how to be like becoming a good designer. But not intended as an illustrator, but intended as a competent person in developing style models, in managing lines, shape and volumes, and in design control directly on the model. So I'm really sure that it will be a very long and interesting journey in which I will explain you many techniques, many terminologies in a short everything that concern this sector. And who am I to do that? I am one who has worked in the industry for many years. Read below in the description what is my experience in some of the best company all over the world. But first of all, now don't forget to subscribe to this channel and stay tuned because there is going to be a lot of video and a lot of work. So let's start. To subscribe to this channel. As you can see here, I already done the job. But now we are going to take a step back because I'm going to go and explain the first techniques that is one with which I've developed everything you see back here. Okay, let's go to start with this first video, this first techniques that I am going to explain you, and it's the tape drawing technique. But first of all, I want to explain you how to turn a sketch into real dimension of the model that we are going to do. So, in this case here, I did this sketch, this stupid sketch, nothing special. But in this sketch, you can see very well what it will be. The final object, what is the feeling of the model that I want to go and do. Now, the first difficulty facing the designer is to transform this sketch into something that has real dimension. And we will do it through not a modern specific software, but through an old techniques, but still performing and above all very economical, but a technique that allows you to do anything, any design object, and to be able to control its volumes and dimension. This technique is called tape drawing. So, I'm going to explain you what I have here in the wall. I also go through these videos to explain to you what are the terms, the terminologies, the words used within the industry. Tape drawing obviously means drawing made with tapes. These are specific adhesive tapes with different sizes and colors, but color doesn't matter. Which are used to turn the sketch into 2D. Now, the model that we are going to do, that I'm going to do, is a 1:4 scale model. And the designer's first difficulty is to transform, is to turn what is the feeling of the sketching into real dimension of this, and this involves a lot of difficulty and a lot of experience. But you can do it without wasting time directly on a model through these techniques. As you can see, I have on the wall a transparent paper, a layer, and I have already drawn this grid, and between each line there are 10 centimeters, and this is measurement for 1:1 scale model, but I will work on 1:4 scale, and therefore it means that in each lines I will write the measurement of the scale that I'm going to use. So I will have a line every 400 millimeters. So what does it mean that if you look from the zero line from 2800 line, in reality we will have 2 meters and 800 centimeter. So this means that 38 plus 800, so more or less these models, it will be in reality 3 meter and 600. But I have now taken what are the dimensions of an existing model, so I will go and develop my design on what is a target of a Fiat 500. And one of the key and fast techniques to develop these things here is to print a blueprint. And what is a blueprint? Is an already existing form plan. Then put it under our layer and take all the main dimensions. So now I have already done this before, but I have not printed the Fiat 500's blueprint because now I do not have a large printer. I explain you here a very fast, easy, super fast technique to be used simply in any laboratory without large equipment and without being $1,000 company. So I just took what are the main dimensions of the Fiat 500 and I reduced them to a scale of 1/4. But first of all, it is essential to understand some small subtitles, but that must be always be respected. The front wheel center of the car, normally, in most cases, is set on the X0. And also, with regard to the elevation, always in the front wheel center of the car, we have the Z0. So, I place the front wheel on the X0 and the Z0, then taking the measurement of the Fiat 500, I reported what is the pitch. The pitch is the distance between the front wheel and the rear wheel. So now I already have these two fundamental constraints. I have the floor, so the heart, that is at Z minus 280, which is 7 centimeters from the wheel center in the drawing. Then I mark the sides in height of the Fiat 500, and as you can see here, there are yellow tapes that simply indicate to me that the 500 from the heart to the sign is so high. But if we go to look at the measurement of the real according to the grid, here I read 1/2000 plus other minus 2 and 80, so it means that in the real 8 in 1/1 scale would be 1.5 meter, more or less. Instead, the length start on this yellow tape and ends here. So, in this imaginary rectangle, I have the dimension of my model. I have the wheels and I have the floor. So now, without further details, I have to start redefining and transforming my sketch into real dimension. So, how do you do? By eyes. You look at it. So, I look at my sketch and start drawing it with the tape up here and starting from the main lines. Tape drawing, it allows you to do a 2D pre-modeling, so I am already modeling the car. And the advantage of using the tape, what is it? It is that if I don't like this line, I have the opportunity to take it and move it. But the best system is not to take it off and put it every time, but it is to overlay another tape. So, for example, if I don't like this line, I remove the wrong tape and keep the new one. Is that clear enough? So, now, let me go on with this first step, and you will see. So, I look at the sketch and I walk on the draw. Obviously, one of the great advantages of the tape drawing is to already realize what will be the real dimension of the model. And as you can see, the first difficulty in this first is to transform the sketch into real dimension. So, it is very important in these techniques and then in the subsequent development of the physical model, each time move away and look to try to understand what is the feeling of the sketch with what is developing. So, definitely one of the things that I'm interested in getting right now is this wall, this very mighty front, but also all the nice side line. Okay. I need to find the control of this first line. There are some info that here does not appear, but normally in the development of a tape drawing or a blueprint should be considered, for example, the ramp angle or the view angle of the windshield, etc., etc. But now we are working on an existing blueprint, an already existing blueprint. So I follow in the broad outline the technical info that comes from the Fiat 500. Okay. One of the fundamental things in the development of a model that needs to be solved first of all is the dam. If you solve the dam well, and this especially then when you will start working on the physical model, but also here in the development of the tape drawing, at the 19% of the time, if we define the dam area, everything else come accordingly. Now, looking at my sketch, I see a very low and narrow dam, and this is the feeling that I want to get. Here, at the back of the sketch, you don't see very well what happened, and for that I will take an additional sketch with the view from behind, but anyway I have enough info to figure out what to do. So okay, now a fast info on how to use the tapes. The smaller is the tape, the more you can make a nice turn, and bigger the tape is, if I can open it, and the more you can make outstretch and controls line as in this case here, this beautiful belt line. Okay? Okay, you can see how difficult and complicated the modeling phases are right now. If I had to do all this already on the physical model, I would have wasted a lot of time, cost, hours, material and work. With these techniques, in a very cheap and fast way, I can still get very close to what will then be the value of the model. Then, this sketch is a problem. One of the problem I'm experiencing in looking for proportion, what is it? If I look at my sketch, the wheels are very close, as you can see. The distance between the front wheel and the rear wheel is very small, but I'm working on the frame of a 500, so I have a constraint, because my front wheel is here and the other one is here. So trying to turn that concept of the sketch into what will be the real model is not easy. So there will be small and big things that will have to be mediated here in the course of the development and the modeling with the arc wheel and the other design element. You will try to get as close as possible to the concept of the sketching. Okay, now I continue my modeling, and it seems to me that the proportion of the dam are fine. I think I'm not so far from the bonnet, and the Y0 is still a little bit critical, but I'm not so far away, so I can go on. As you can see with the tape drawing, how I have the ability to sketch to edit. This whole phase save a lot of time later when we will work on the real model. Because so many problems I'm experiencing here, after when I will work on the model, I won't have them anymore, or at least I already know how to solve them, because this will be the size of the real model, and I remember I'm working on 1/4 scale. So, every time I edit, I do not immediately remove the tape that I do not like, but I put another one, then I understand that that is the modification, because now I want to enlarge this area again. So I put a new tape and then I remove what I do not like, but until the last I always keep a reference line. Always pay close attention to what I do, because these are the things that then will that then will be done also on the physical model. If I look at my sketch again, this step is very rigid, while now in the tape drawing, I'm softer, and therefore not what I want. I want the sketch, so I keep editing until I achieve the result. Then I walk away and I look from so far. Remember, this is important to walk away and look from far. Then I walk away and I look from so far. Remember, this is important to walk away and look from far. Talking about the tape, best techniques to use the tape is this one. If you have a big tape, just put in your hand and control the tape in this way. You don't need to be hard, stay soft, okay? And in this way you can control the tape. That's the techniques. Obviously, if you have a small one, just put it in your finger and move in this way, okay? This is the best techniques. So Okay, more or less I think we have enough in side view, so I will start in the top view. So now I was saying I will start in the top view, but first I'm going to remember some info, so a brief reference to a little bit of technique. I remember that the grid and then the lines are every 10 centimeters as we were in 1:1 scale model, but now our model is on 1:4 scale, so I only marked the main lines and I just changed the name according to the scale I use. But remember that between one line and another there would be other three lines, because we are precisely on 1:4 scale, so we have a line every 25 millimeters. So it should be x100, x200, x300, then x400, as you can see, the main line. So as for the top view, also in this case, the main info always come from the blueprint of the 500. Then obviously the projections of the line comes from the side view, but as for the width of the car, then the roadway. And here I design only half the car, but I remember that the center of the object is called Y0. And this symbol comes from what the historical body design and therefore in the drawing of the body work the height are named Z, the length is named X, and all the divide is Y. So the center of the object is the Y0. So now about the width comes always from the 500's blueprint. So I divide it by 4, and then again I divide it for 2 because I will develop half drawing or half model. In this imaginary rectangle, I make the top view. And I'm going to remember side view, top view, and here we will have the section, so front or back view. fundamental, as I did in the side view, also in the top view, are the arc wheel, so the roadway that I already marked in my imaginary rectangle of yellow containment. So mark the arch wheel because they are a fixed point. Okay, at this point, even in the top view, I have enough information. I don't want to get lost in details because I want to go and do the general section, so 1 to 1000 is usually done at the widest point of the model, or with front view or rear view. We should do both, but now I will assess whether I have time. Well, maybe I do both. But the important thing is to have a section that cut at the maximum point of the car. Okay, I go ahead with the front or back view and then with a section in principle. I just want to remind you what a section is and therefore also the usefulness of the grid. Because depending on where I have to do the section with a grid, I have the exact reference. So in this case, on the x1 to 1000. And the section is a net cut of the object throughout its volume. So this was and still is the usefulness of the grid lines that is the exit point that give us the exit point where I want a section. But remember that in the development of a model and of the main volumes, it must always be used the maximum section. Okay, that's all for the moment. I will say that I have all the information to continue in the next phase. It is not necessary to go further because the rest will be developed directly on the model. But now we have all the main volumes in 3 views. So remember to subscribe to my channel, follow the website and the Facebook page and stay in the description, and stay tuned because in the next video I will show you how to continue with the setting of the base and the section to realize the model. Bye!